Okay, what's the number one reason you should try Instacart? Shopping over 1.5 million unique products from over 1,000 retailers and get everything delivered right to your door in as fast as 1 hour, all in one app. So you can spend more time with the ones who matter most. Visit instacart.com to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. $10 minimum per order. Additional terms apply.
Introducing Carvana Value Tracker, where you can track your car's value over time and learn what's driving it. It might make you excited.
Whoa, didn't know my car was valued this high.
It might make you nervous.
Uh-oh, market's flooded. My car's value just dipped 2.3%.
It might make you optimistic.
Our low mileage is paying off. Our value's up.
And it might make you realistic.
Car prices haven't gone up in a couple weeks. Maybe it's time to sell.
But it will definitely make you an expert on your car's value. Carvana Value Tracker. Visit Carvana.com to start tracking your car's value today.
Jeff Gueldner with us, part of the KU Television Network. Jeff, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. So I wanted to ask you this question, and I think I probably know the answer, and we'll get into the current Jayhawks here in a moment. But Grady Dick, who's from Wichita, now a rookie in the NBA with the Toronto Raptors, he's not doing a whole lot for them. But he is making a whole lot of money.
Right.
So I'm just curious about your thoughts on a guy like Grady Dick, who signed a contract for 4 years and $21 million, something I've never experienced, by the way.
Yeah, you and me both.
That versus the potential of staying at KU, learning more. And I use Kevin McCullough as an example because he's going to make a lot of money as an NBA player, in my opinion, as well. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you got to go for the money, but how much is Grady Dick potentially missing out on?
Well, I think the difference with Grady from Kevin McCullough, first off, is that he has the one skill that everybody in the NBA wants, which is essentially unlimited range, and it's a three-point game, and he's got a lot higher ceiling. One, because of his age, but also just because of, how much better he's going to get over time. Now, the big difference, though, is that he was a lottery pick or projected lottery pick, and it's guaranteed money versus, Kevin McCullough looking at maybe not getting drafted, at best getting a second-round pick, kind of like we're looking at Hunter Dickinson right now. I mean, what's he going to do? Because he's not going to have much, if anything, guaranteed. He's going to have to go earn it versus being handed, generational money. The unfortunate part about the NBA is you get, depending on where you go, the style of play, who they have ahead of you, sometimes they take the best player or the best, somebody who does something really well, but it's not necessarily what that team needs at that time, and they're kind of betting on the come. And I think he's fallen into that trap a little bit.
So I did want to ask you about Kevin McCullough and just the leap he's made offensively. We see this a lot with Bill Self teams. We saw it in Abaji and Frank Mason and Devontae Graham, where they just become all-world players kind of over the summer, basically. So what have you seen that has allowed McCullough to elevate his game offensively?
Well, I think there's a few things, but one is he's obviously playing with a lot of confidence, and he's got the ultimate green light from Bill Self, and it's kind of you could make a case maybe it's his, Hunter and DeJuan's team, or even throw KJ, throw them all in there if you want. But he is a leader on the team, and he also knows that he's got to score points. But what I've liked, other than his confidence, is he's not just settling for three-point shots. He's got the ability. Maybe he's always had the ability, but he's got the confidence and the strength to get into the lane, to draw contact. He's not just settling for three-point shots. He's knocking down his free throws. He's doing a little bit above the rim, which is not something we've seen from him, and just really doing it on all three levels. And that's, if you're not going to be a great shooter, and he's not a great shooter. He's an okay shooter. He's a streaky shooter, but he's not Ochai. He's not Grady when it comes to just a pure-looking jump shot. You've got to be able to do other things, and that's kind of like Jalen Wilson did in his time at KU. You've got to be able to score at all three levels, and he's doing that very well right now and very efficiently.
Jeff Gueldner with us from the Jayhawk Television Network, Wichita State and Kansas up at the T-Mobile Center on Saturday. That's a 3 o'clock tip. So KU is 11-1. They're ranked number 2 in the country. But there are, correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think there are some issues with the team trying to develop some depth, trying to get more scoring. What are your thoughts on where KU is with one game left in the non-conference?
Well, they have the kind of issues that 99% of the coaches in the country would love to have to be able to solve. Let's, kind of be real point blank about that. You've got 2 potential first-team All-Americans in your starting lineup. You've got a point guard who has been there and done that in every situation, and a KJ Adams who, if you really play to take everything away from Hunter Dickinson, he can easily score, 15 points in a very efficient way. So there's so many positives. The glaring negative is there isn't that knockdown shooter, and there's really no firepower coming off the bench, and so they're very reliant on one of those 2 guys, meaning Hunter or Kevin McCullough, having a 20 to 25 point night, if not both of them, because you've got that 5 through 9, or really 5 through 8. I think Parker Brown has settled into his role for the most part. You know what he is. He's not asked to score a bunch of points. So you've got Marco, Timberlake, and Johnny Furphy. Somebody's got to do something. And too often, none of them do anything. And for different reasons. It's not that they're bad kids or they don't know, they're not trying. El Marco is I kind of liken him to Tyshawn Taylor when he first came. Just an unbelievable athlete, incredibly fast, but really hasn't figured out how to play yet. He hasn't figured out when to go, when to pull it back, when to distribute, when to try to score. Johnny Furphy, he's trying to figure out, basketball in the States and what his role is going to be. And Nick Timberlake, until the last game, he was brought here to be a knockdown shooter, and he hasn't done it. But I think what concerns Bill Self more than anything is just on the defensive end and rebounding and 50-50 balls. They just haven't been what he needs or wants them to be. It's not about ability. They're athletic enough to do it. They just have not consistently done it. And, that's really where a lot of the problems come, because you got the starters playing so many minutes and, at times maybe pacing themselves, or when you go to the bench, you break up that continuity, and there really isn't anything to keep it going. And so it's been a constant battle for Bill Self to try to figure out his rotations and what he can get away with. I'm babbling a little bit, but I'll also say it's very rare to see a college coach go to the 12-minute mark and not make a single substitution, and Bill Self has had to do that a lot this year.
What is the attitude if I'm sure a lot of KU players feel like it's just another game, but what's the attitude around KU with the game against Wichita State? Is that something that moves the needle for them at all?
I don't necessarily think so. I think part of the reason is it's not a home game, it's not an away game, it's just kind of a game. When you're looking at this team, they're 11-1, but they've played 4 teams, and you could put Kentucky in there also potentially at times that are top 10 teams. So you're not going to get up for every game, and then you mix in the Easterns and the North Carolina Centrals, and I think Wichita State kind of falls above that, but not to that top 25 ranked type of opponent. And you don't have a lot of homegrown Kansas kids. Those days where you had the guys that are around here a lot or Grady Dick or somebody like that has a connection to the state. You don't have a lot of that going on. But I hope for our sake that they're ready to play because that they're going to get Wichita State's best shot on Saturday, whatever that turns out to be.
Talking with Jeff Gueldner from the KU TV network. So how does Hunter Dickinson, his numbers are great, how does he fit in? Because that's always a little bit of a question mark when a guy decides to transfer that late in his college career.
I think he fits in great. He is, I would call him a prototypical college center. meaning he's not a banger. He's not somebody who plays, above the rim like you expect your guys to do in the NBA. He's got, range, extended range. He's a great passer. He's very smart in how he uses his body and plays without fouling. But we've seen him when he goes against players of bigger size or equal size, or the long, fast twitch athletes, he struggles a little bit. And that's part of him figuring it out, understanding what he can do, and it's also on the team. You've got a group of guys that they're not used to feeding the post. No offense to David McCormick, but he wasn't Hunter Dickinson, and then last year we had no post, and so that's part of it too. You've got to learn, how to deliver the ball and get him in spots where he can be effective, and he's learning to play with that motor that Bill Self requires in terms of going after every rebound versus just ones that kind of come in your area. But he is a great luxury to have, and he takes a lot of pressure off of your offense if you can get him involved in different parts of the court, because he's such a good shooter and a good passer.
What do you think will end up being KU's best non-conference win? I guess the nominees are Kentucky, Tennessee, or UConn.
Yeah, I think UConn. I mean, that's a team that, and Marquette really, I know it was a loss, but you look at what that team was able to do to KU. But I think from a win perspective, Tennessee, Bill Self said it at the time, they were a little bit injured and they were underperforming in Hawaii, and felt that was a team that could make it to the Final Four. We've seen them kind of right the ship. Kentucky was playing without their 3 7-footers, not just none of them. And so they're going to get better. Whether or not you can really count on a John Calipari team anymore, or those young guys to produce them at the end of the season, who knows? But it was a different team. And so you could make a case for Tennessee, UConn, or Kentucky, but I think I would say UConn. They're just a combination of toughness and grit and confidence that typical Big East mentality.
Good stuff, Jeff. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope your
problem.
Christmas
Anytime.
was good and your New Year's better.
To talk.
Well, we'll get you on soon. It's going to be a fun conference season.
You're welcome, and happy holidays and happy and safe New Year.
When the whole family comes together to watch the game, nobody wants to miss a second of the action to run to the grocery store. With Instacart, you can get all your weekly groceries in as fast as an hour. Less time shopping means more game time. Let's go. Visit instacart.com to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. $10 minimum per order. Additional terms apply.